Hey guys, Raven Knight here. I've written a lot of legends. In fact, I've written one legend for every single hero in the roster of For Honor. So every hero now has at least one legend. Some have more. I've written other stuff, and I plan to write more in the future. I'm not done. I'm going to keep writing more stuff. I've got more stories I want to tell. I've got some ideas that I'm working on, some that I've already got planned out, but I need to write, or some that, are just formulating. I got a lot of ideas for story writing. But my Hatun legend, Alakhai, my latest legend, the one that just released, I think that's the one that pretty much broke me. That is one that, okay, I tell you no lie, as I was writing it out, as I was putting it all down and preparing it, I actually cried a little. I got teary-eyed. Yeah, yes, I did. Make fun of me if you want to. But I get very invested in my writing. I get very invested in my characters. There are times where I'll act out a scene that I'm writing or an idea that I have. I'll pantomime a fight scene. I'll go for a walk and verbally say what the characters are going to say to each other to get an idea of the emotion and personality. I'll make facial expressions to try to get an idea of what they're saying, what they're seeing, what you would see in them. I raise my voice, I lower it, I try to, capture the treble of a cry or the roar of a shout. I try very hard to get very invested in a story and in the character. So with Alakhai, you can imagine just the gut wrench that I was working on with it. If you haven't watched it yet or haven't listened to the story yet, please go listen to it. Please go watch it. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. I really don't. So consider this a cutoff point in the video. If you have not listened to it, you need to go watch it right now. Pause this video, make a new tab, go listen to that, and then come back. I know it's 35 minutes long. I know it's a long video, but I don't want you to miss out on it. So if you haven't watched it yet, this is your one and only spoiler warning. Everything after this, I'm talking about it like you've heard the whole story, okay? So this is your spoiler warning you have right now. Go watch it. Okay. All right, I'm going to assume that either you have watched the video or you're just now back from having watched it, so I can talk about it fully and freely, all right? If not, you had your warning. Here we go. So, as you all know, the whole story is about a Hatun and a mother. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this right off the bat. I was a little nervous to do this one and release it when I did, because not only did my buddy Havoc go through the loss of his mother, but I had another person in my audience just the other night say that he recently lost his mother. And I'm like, I'm not sure I should release a video like this about a mother and her son when this kind of stuff is going on, but I still wanted to get this out there, so I did. Now, some of you are probably wondering, okay, where did some of the idea come from? The first thing I really wanted to do when thinking about Alakhai was I wanted to come up with a name. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you straight up. The name is actually of historical relevance. There is a Mongolian princess named Alakhai, a relative of Genghis Khan. Now, here's where it gets interesting. That wasn't initially where I got it from. If you want to know the actual place I got it from, this is going to make you laugh. I was looking up Mongolian names, and I was looking up the Mongolian language to kind of get an idea of how they build their names. And I remembered that a long time ago, I had seen this artist do different Primarchs from Warhammer 40k as females. And I thought, you know what? Let me just see what they named the female Jagatai Khan. So I looked it up. They named him Alakhai, or Alakhai. And I thought, that's a cool sounding name. I don't want to use it, though. I don't want to steal that, but that's a cool sounding name. That gives me something to fall back on. So I was doing more research, and then I found out that, hey, what do you know? Alakhai is actually a historical name. It actually has precedence. And I was like, oh, let's use that. Let's just use that, and we'll see how it works. And it just kind of fit. Now, some people are asking, is it Alakhai or is it Alakhai? And the answer to that is, I believe it is Alakhai because the KH, I believe, creates a silent sound, a silent K. So I believe it is Alakhai. In the original Mongolian. In the Turkic, it may be Alakhai, but we'll go with the Mongolian for now. So Alakhai was the name we went with. Now, as for the design, I thought about possibly going with a different look. Like, for example, I think that Gul'Jin's design is goated. I think it's an excellent look. But I really liked the skull mask. I thought it looked really nice, and the fangs on the side looked really cool. I thought that I'd just go with that. The fur cap looks nice. All of it just looked good to me. So I went with that design. And as for theme, I wanted to go off of the snowy leopard. I wanted to go off of the snow leopard because I thought that's a cool concept. Snow leopards are one of my favorite big cats out there. They're a beautiful animal. I love watching documentaries about them or videos of them. They're absolutely gorgeous creatures. And I found out that they do have a Mongolian name. The leopard in Mongolian is Ervis. So I called her the Ervis Hatun, which is the leopard queen. So I thought that would work very well. Now, in terms of her story, I had quite a few inspirations. One of the biggest ones, I will admit, okay, you probably already guessed it, but it is from One Piece, particularly in the backstory of Nico Robin. And if you haven't watched One Piece, I would recommend reading the manga to get caught up quicker because it is very, very long, which is one of the things that a lot of people are scared of when starting One Piece. But if you don't know Nico Robin's backstory, very, very quick synopsis of what matters. Nico Robin is from an island of archaeologists. Her mother was an archaeologist. In particular, her name was Nico Ovia. She abandoned Robin for a long time so that she could pursue this lost history that the world government has made illegal to study. After getting caught, she escapes and manages to run back to her island in the hopes of warning everyone and in the hopes of seeing her little girl after all these years. Even though she doesn't feel she deserves to call herself her mother, she still wants to see what has become of her daughter Nico Robin and tries to find her. It's a very sad, touching scene, and that was a large inspiration on what I wanted to do. That was a large inspiration.
If she's safe, that's enough. When I decided to join you, I severed all bonds with her. I can't let her become the daughter of a criminal. Robin. My little girl. You've grown so much.
But I also got inspiration, particularly from the idea of, the Moses story, actually. And the Moses story, yes. So, in the Moses story, if you don't know the story of Moses, you probably should. Book of Exodus, look it up, it's in the Bible. Moses was the son of a Hebrew woman, and God told her to keep this child alive. She didn't know how, so she asked God to keep him safe. She put him in a basket and floated him down the Nile River. The baby was eventually found by Pharaoh's daughter, and Pharaoh's daughter took pity on the child and decided to take her in, but wasn't able to take care of him herself because she was not weaning. She didn't have a milk to offer. So along comes Moses' sister, Miriam, who says, "Oh, I know a Hebrew woman that would happily take care of the child for you." So she goes and gets Moses' mother, and Moses' mother gets to take care of the child a little while longer. Now, obviously, that's the happy ending. I didn't go for a happy ending here. This was not a very happy ending. What if Moses' mother didn't get to get Moses back? What if she didn't get to take care of the child again? Very much the Prince of Egypt version of events, where the baby has a new life, has a new family, has a new chance. Mom doesn't get to be part of it. And it's so beautifully tragic. Now, as for the other bit, y'all may not have noticed this. I said it at the very beginning, and I brought it back into play at the end. I didn't make that up either. The whole thing about Mongolian tradition being all about smell. I didn't make that up. That's actually a Mongolian tradition. I don't know if it still holds true today, but historically, this was something that the Mongolian tradition upheld, that smell was an important form of remembering people. When you came in for a hug or a peck on the cheek, it wasn't just a physical thing, it was a scent thing. You take in someone else's smell. Smell is connected to memory. And so I thought, wouldn't it be fascinating if instead of Bayar looking around and saying, "Hey, that woman looks familiar," or "her voice sounds familiar," what if I went in the Mongolian direction and said, "I recognize a smell"? He smells her and recognizes her. Doesn't know why, but he recognizes that. And I thought, God, that would be gut-wrenching, but at the same time, pretty awesome. I thought that would really, really do well. And I also wanted to play with the idea here outside of just Alakhai and Bayar. Oh, on that note, Bayar, that was also another play on the name. Bayar means joy. I think I said that in the story, but if I didn't, I mean that. Bayar means joy. So at the end, when she says that within that town was her joy, and she could not reach it. I wasn't just being metaphorical. I was being literal. Bayar means joy. So her joy was just out of reach. Ah! Love the story. Love the story. Furthermore, beyond just Bayar and Alakhai, I wanted to play around with the idea of looking at Gul'jin. I don't 100% see Gul'jin as a good character. Oh, I know. Oh, she came in and beat the bad guy Horkoth and Athria. That doesn't make her a good person. That doesn't make her a hero. It makes her the new status quo ruler. She's now the one on top. It's kind of like we replaced one tyrant with a brand new one. Gul'jin is not altruistic because she got rid of the first evildoer. Stalin could come in and beat Hitler. It doesn't make Stalin an altruistic guy. He's still got problems. So when I looked at Gul'jin, I thought to myself, Gul'jin has just brought an end to all the fights in the steppe. She's unified all the Mongolians under her banner. You know what she could do? Hey guys, we're unified now. Let's prosper. Let's prosper. Let's try to build ourselves up. Let's try to live in our own little utopia. We're going to forget about Heathmore. We're going to forget about the Wulin. We're going to forget about all these other things. We are just going to build and strengthen and build our own empire right here. That's not what she does. She says, we're going to take the fight to Heathmore. Now, whether you say she's right or wrong about that, there is a point we need to take into account. She is choosing to lead them from one war right into another. And I have to think some of the Mongols might not be behind that. Some of them might be like, okay, look, we just got done fighting amongst ourselves. Why would we want to go pick a fight with another group entirely, especially one we've had so little interaction with? They've left us alone. Why do we need to go mess with them? Now, we can understand Golgin's perspective, They messed with us. Apollyon and the Blackstone Legion messed with us. They're the ones who led us into the wars in the first place. Yeah, but now it's just petty revenge. It's one of those things, and I'm kind of like, I'm not sure every Mongol would be behind that. Now, I'm not saying whether it's bad or good. Please understand me. This is not my perspective. I'm looking at it from the perspective of Alakhai. Alakhai is a woman filled with hate, anger. That's something I really wanted to hammer home. She isn't a perfect woman. She made mistakes. After the loss of her first village and clan and the death of her fiancé, she was filled with anger, filled with vengeance. She hated the Uvas, the clan who killed her family. She hates the Blackstone. She hates Apollyon. So she becomes a warrior because she wants her chance to kick their butts. But then, hold on, she gets a new husband, has a kid. Now she's got something to live for. But here comes Gulgin saying, hey, I'm going to go and kick the crap out of Heathmore now. And I want you all to join in. And if you don't, I'm going to kill you. Well, now it's like, you're just dragging us into a war that I've been trying to get away from. And she looks at Gulgin the same way she looks at Apollyon. That's why she said, I will not be your wolf, Apollyon. She straight up insulted Gulgin by saying, you're no better or different than Apollyon, just leading us into war after war after war. You're no better. Because she sees Gulgin the exact same way. So her hate for Apollyon has been supplanted onto Gulgin. And so she won't be a part of it, and she runs away with her son, not thinking about the reality that she can't take care of her son without her clan, and she has no chance of surviving in the wild. And once Gulgin invades Heathmore, she will be recognized as an enemy, and thus will be hated. So I really wanted to play with that. Now, of course, there were some characters that you recognized. Deborah and Lamia showed up. Some of you are probably wondering what the deal with that was. If you notice the ending of Lamia's legend, if you go back and re-listen to it, Lamia meets Deborah and becomes her disciple. Deborah and Lamia travel around together. So that should be expected. Now, why did Deborah come to that mountain? There could be a lot of reasons. I thought about putting it into the story that she heard of, that the Lord spoke to her, or that she had a vision, but I decided to just leave it ambiguous because I thought you could probably draw your own conclusions about why they were there. But that was my interpretation. And then the idea of Baoshin and Helena. Okay, this one was kind of something that I thought about but wasn't sure about. So, as you know, Helena is my raider character, Baoshin is my monk character who's shown up a lot. I revealed in Helena's legend that the two were lovers, that they were to be married. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if Baoshin, in his goal to try to bring peace and start a Christian community, he built or established a small village between Valkenheim and Ashfeld, where he could, bring together a small community of pilgrims who wanted to escape some of the turmoils of war and kind of build something new for themselves. And that could be where they took Bayar. Now, of course, I can do a whole legend talking about how Baoshin and Helena built this place, but I thought, wouldn't that be a neat idea? Now, the question remains, would Baoshin actually have adopted the child? I think he would have. Baoshin is a kind-hearted man, and I think he'd want the chance to take care of the boy, so I don't see that as too far-fetched or too ridiculous. Now, of course, there's another major problem that a lot of people are going to point out. Do we really expect Heathmore to allow Baoshin and Helena to just build this little community that is kind of off by itself, that doesn't want any involvement in anything? No, probably not. One of the factions, be it the Vikings, the Knights, the Samurai, the Wulin, or Horkos, or the Hatuns, or someone, is probably going to come along and cause them trouble. No doubt about that. But that is a problem that they can deal with as they grow bigger and stronger and start bringing in more warriors to their number. So obviously there are going to be issues in the future. So the next big question that people are probably going to ask is, why did I choose the color scheme that I did for Alakhai? Why did I choose that? Honestly, I would have picked a white and black kind of pattern to make her look more like a snow leopard, but nothing really looked right. I went with the dark blue, pastel, very indigo, navy kind of look, just because I thought it meshed well with the black on her mask, and I thought that it would look much more intimidating and strong. There's no other reason behind that. I was just trying to go for a design that looked good and looked very imposing, so that was the reason I did what I did there. But that, I think the final question that people would probably want to ask is, will there be a sequel? Will Alakhai ever reunite with her son? Will the mother and son finally meet again? And the answer to that is, I have an idea for a sequel, but I don't know if I want to write it, because I don't know if I might just want to leave it as is. I might want to leave the story as is and leave it open-ended. You know, like some people may be like, oh, but you got to write the scene where they get back together. Or they might say, no, keep it open-ended. Let us draw our own conclusion. So I don't know. Let me know down in the comments if you think I should create a sequel to this and decide what happens between Alakhai and Bayar, if they actually do reunite, or if Alakhai always keeps her distance and Bayar never meets his mother. Let me know what you guys would think in the comment section. But yeah, this story kind of broke me, man. This story kind of got to me, you know what I'm saying? But I had a great time with it. I'm so glad it's finally out. And with this legend, I have written one legend for every character. And I don't think I could have gone out on a better note than with Alakhai. What a story. Whew! Anyway, that's going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.